Hello and welcome to the Kiss My Asparagus podcast. I'm your host, Latasha, and we're going to talk about some foundations of health today. And I believe at the foundation of health is prevention. Like, it's very simple, right? But in our society, things are very complicated for the consumer. Even for me, I struggle with this often. And it's sometimes, what am I going to put in my mouth to eat, to nourish myself? It can get quite complicated. There's so many things coming at us, all sorts of advertising, all sorts of fad diets, propaganda, different perspectives, different schools of thought on how you should nourish your body. Like, it can get sticky out here. So from my perspective, the foundation of health is prevention. Like the old saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Like, simple. But like I mentioned before, it's very hard to navigate health and nutrition when you have so much to consider. So for me, I'm on this journey and I wanted to take y'all with me. I've been on this journey. I stayed my entire life, maybe since I was 16 years old, just trying to make sure that I took care of my body and my temple. And I've been led astray several times. So now I'm in a place where I want to share my journey with others. And I want this podcast to be interactive. I would like your feedback on what works for you. And, just engage with me during this process. Because I'm taking this journey and I've been taking the journey. And I believe that prevention is that foundational principle that we have to keep in mind. So when we talk about prevention as it pertains to nutrition, my belief is that whole food plant-based is a superior diet. But I can also say it's not for everybody, right? It takes tremendous discipline. It takes educating yourself. It takes planning to maintain that lifestyle. So it's not for everyone, and I get it. Some people want a more balanced approach. Some people would like to incorporate certain things in their diet and just have a healthier choice. But it can be hard because a lot of times that healthier choice is just packaged as a healthier choice. But if you read the ingredients, you realize that it's just processed junk, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it today. We're going to talk about, like I said, the foundations of health and prevention. One diet that concerns me is this carnivore diet. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it spawned from Atkins or what, but it concerns me. Because eating that way can be detrimental. And if we compare it to a whole food plant-based diet, it just doesn't measure up. Of course, people have this, they're vain and they want to look good. So that diet is going to help them to lose weight, essentially. They're avoiding sugar. So, of course, they're going to lose some weight. But we got to just think about this critically here, because eating all meat is going to take a toll on you. You got to think about this, right? Think about your body and how long it takes to break down some red meat. Like, you're not digesting that immediately. The time it takes to digest some plant-based food, some fruits, some vegetables, is like minutes. It's minutes. It can take days to digest some meat. Like, just think about what that can do for your gut health. Like, what that does is going to put a strain on your gut. Like, it's going to interrupt your microbiome because you're not going to have the acid to break down that food. I mean, the excessive protein intake in and of itself is going to contribute to excess acid. Like that high protein, like especially from animals, is going to increase calcium excretion, right, in your urine. That's going to increase your risk of kidney stones, because what your body does to metabolize protein, so to buffer the acid, the body will release the calcium from the bones into the bloodstream, which then comes out into your urine. But that elevated level of calcium is going to cause kidney stones. So, you have to consider these things, right? The other things that are going to take a toll on you eating that way is like just the obvious cardiovascular disease. Like you're going to have inflammation developing. You're going to develop plaques and atherosclerosis in your body, and you're increasing your risk of heart attack and stroke. Like, so all the while you're losing weight and you thinking you look good internally, your body is not going to be well if you're only eating meat. Let's just keep it a buck. Like I don't think that's a smart diet. Like, I just don't understand. Like, you're going to have high cholesterol. Like, please, if you are eating that way, the diagnostics are going to be clear. It's just not a healthy way to eat. Like, anyone who's eating whole food plant-based, to me, it's just like, it radically changes you, especially if you're doing it correctly. Because I think that's the issue that most people have. It's very extreme, and it's hard to live in a society that we live in and live that way. It's like hard to access food that is prepared that way with you in mind and not the bottom dollar of some business. It's hard to live that way. But I don't want us to go to the extreme to where we're eating all meat because we want to be thin or, look better. Like this idea that we can't get protein or B12 from a plant-based diet is a fallacy. It's not true. You can, but there are so many other things that you get from eating a whole food plant-based diet, right? You're eliminating a lot of things if you're doing it the right way. Consuming processed foods on a consistent basis is not conducive to health. Eating meat in excess is not conducive to health. My point is, eating extreme and imbalanced is dangerous either way you go, right? So we have to be balanced about this thing, right? We want to prevent disease. And if you think about inflammation, that's just your body responding to something that is not compatible to your biochemistry. It doesn't belong there. So your body chronically is fighting against things that you're eating that is going to contribute to various sort of diseases. When we talk about heart disease, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, they all play a significant role. Like diet plays a huge role in reducing that chronic inflammation. Diet plays a huge role. So, what are the foods that cause inflammation? We know refined sugars. These refined sugars and simple carbohydrates like white bread, pastries, sugary drinks, candy, pastas, they all spike your blood sugar, leading to increased production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. And over time, that can contribute to insulin resistance, obesity, and inflammation. So if we're eating those things, we're not really preventing disease. If we're eating trans fats and saturated fats found in processed meats, fried foods, they're all associated with inflammation. And in excess is gonna contribute to inflammation in your body. Get that in check. You want to prevent that from happening by avoiding those foods. Processed and red meats. Let's talk about it. Bacon, it's an actual carcinogen. They're telling you it causes cancer. So keep that in mind. These things contribute to disease. So what do we want to take in that is actually anti-inflammatory? Foods that prevent disease. That foundation of health that we talked about earlier. Fruits and vegetables, obvious, like it's super simple. So when we're talking about a carnivore diet, like what are we talking about? We're avoiding the very foods that everyone knows contribute to your health. Like, come on now. Like they're trying to demonize sugar now. And that's frustrating because there are sugars they're good for you. You need sugar for your freaking brain to function. You need sugar, right? But not refined sugars, not man-made sugars, not processed sugars. You need sugars that come from a whole plant. And why is that important? Like I said, for you to like get up in the morning, think, walk, talk, you need sugar. But also you need it from a whole plant. And why do you need it from the whole plant? Because you need the fiber that's in that whole plant. Right? You don't need it all spliced up and switched up, genetically changed up. You need it whole. You need it organic, without all the pesticides and herbicides and all of that stuff on it. You need to eat it that way. Because you're then going to get everything that God intended you to have in your body, right? That fiber helps to slow the release of the sugars into your system. That slow release will help that sugar spike into your system. And that, balanced level in your system balances you essentially, right? So we talk about those fruits and vegetables, obvious. Let's eat more of that, right? And then also we want to talk about whole grains. I know that grains can be tricky for people because they don't understand which ones are the ones we should be eating. Because at the end of the day, all grains aren't created equal. So the refined grains, most of them are inflammatory. I'm just going to tell you the truth. You got to avoid them like the plague. But whole grains won't spike your sugar level and trigger inflammatory responses. Whole grains like quinoa. I love quinoa. Me personally, I really like quinoa. Everybody doesn't like quinoa, but I use that as a replacement for rice a lot of the time. I even sometimes eat it for breakfast. And I'll, put a little honey in there to sweeten it up. And just, put some berries in there, some fruit, like fix it up. Also, other anti-inflammatory foods are nuts and seeds, full of antioxidants. They help reduce inflammation. They have healthy fats in them, right? Fat is not bad. The healthy fats are good, You can find them in nuts and seeds. You can find them also in avocados. I love avocado. I put avocado on everything. I love avocado. It makes my meal complete. Like I'll cut up an avocado and put it there. On my salads, on my stir fries. Like I go crazy. But I have a treat for y'all. Next show, next podcast, I'll have my sister with me. Her name is Letitia. She is a amazing chef. Like she makes wonderful foods that are healthy for you. And they're not extreme. They're not on this one extreme or the other. Like they're balanced foods. Like sometimes we'll eat plant-based. Sometimes, there'll be a little meat. But the meat will be from the farmer. The meat will be, consciously they take consideration for that meat. It's organic. It's high quality. We may eat some fish sometimes. That fish is wild caught, right? Also, some things that just contribute to health and plays an essential role in inflammation in general is your gut health. Like, your immune system is there. Like, and if it's disrupted because you eating a bunch of stuff your body can't break down, no fiber in your diet at all, no probiotics, no prebiotics, you're going to suffer the consequences. So, I mean, you got to think about those things. Processed foods, they really do a number on your microbiome, leading to just like imbalance in the bacteria in your gut. And that really increases your risk for disease. Like, you need your gut to work. You need to get the things that your body doesn't like out. But if it's sluggish, where do you think it goes? It's just sitting there. I mean, and you don't think these cause different types of illness and ailments? That anxiety that you think you need a pill for, that, brain fog, that, lack of energy, that's due to, it could be various things, but it's because something's not balanced, right? We need to get the proper nourishment. We need to get the proper hydration. We need to get the proper sleep, exercise. But one thing that we need to do is prevent these things, these illnesses from manifesting. And how do we do that? Well, we're going to talk about it a little more on the next episode. We're going to talk more about toxicity. I'll have my sis on the show, Letitia. She's going to talk to us about some awesome recipes that we can make to maintain a healthy and fun lifestyle. Like, healthy food does not have to taste like shit, for lack of a better word. It can taste amazing. So thank you for tuning in to Kiss My Asparagus, the podcast giving the real on health and nutrition. This is your host, Latasha, signing off. Until next time, thanks for listening.